Simon Pegg, thank you very much for joining us.
Absolute pleasure.
Obviously, you're very busy at the moment publicising your latest film, Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
How's that working out?
It's going good. We're just, we're here in Sydney, and we've been to, just got back from New Zealand, had a great time there. I've done Sweden, we're off to America next week, so we're on the Fuzz train.
Perhaps you'd like to give us a brief summary of the film for those of us who weren't lucky enough to get invited to the pre-release launch.
Well, it's the story of a very dedicated, overachieving police officer who is so good he's sort of sent away by his superiors because he's causing a spike on the statistics, which of course means there's a trough elsewhere. So they send him to what they believe is the most crime-free, safe, idyllic village in the whole of the United Kingdom in order to sort of silence his exceptional talents. Of course, it isn't that at all. And the film, he meets up with Nick Frost's character, Danny, who's a sort of very sweet-natured, bumbling police officer, country boy, who is desperate to be in a Lethal Weapon film, and he wants policing to be like Die Hard, and my character's adamant that it's not, but of course, as the film progresses, that's exactly what it becomes. And everything goes nuts.
Now, obviously, you're quite up-to-date with technology. You've been using video blogs to promote the progress of this film.
Yeah.
Do you think more studios will be doing this, or do you think it's a bit of a passing trend?
I think so. It was certainly new to us, and we didn't do it with Shaun of the Dead. It was a very new thing, and I think it's a way of certainly starting awareness of a project whilst it's being made, and also giving a new kind of insight into the production. Obviously, we had to be quite careful because we didn't want to give anything away about the film. Certainly didn't want to give away sort of characters or sets or costumes. So it was only ever really me and Nick that you saw, with a few exceptions. Everyone else we kept hidden. But
sure. Yeah,
it's a good way of sort of there's an audience out there who are eager for the initial stages of the movie. The more sort of dedicated fans and the cineasts. Have an interest in how films are made. So I think it's a really nice little promotional device, and it's fun as well.
Sure. I know that kind of brings us to YouTube and video sharing services. What's your take on that? Because obviously there's a considerable amount of content, a considerable amount of your content, for that matter, up there.
Yeah,
it's a good thing or a bad thing?
It's great. I think. I mean, obviously, sometimes you run into copyright issues. I certainly wouldn't want the movies up there. I mean, Spaced is on there, our TV series, and I kind of don't mind that in a way because, we don't see any. It's not ripping anybody off by having it on there. I'm sure, the sort of TV companies might disagree, but the more people that can see that, the better. That's a television program, and I'm happy for it to be on there. And there are some, it's an incredible platform for people now to get, to get stuff seen. It's an incredible resource when you start thinking about it. People now have the opportunity to produce their own work and have it mounted in a medium that will take it to the entire world. I mean, it's fantastic. If you're a young writer or a filmmaker or a comic or whatever, you can get your stuff up there, and it will get seen because it gets hits and people start talking about it. I think it will eventually revolutionise television completely.
Okay. Now, Edgar happened to drop into one of the blogs that shooting an action film in the UK may have been slightly problematic.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered shooting outside of the UK? Drawing a random name out of a hat, say in Australia?
Well, that would be great. I'd love to shoot anywhere that's that's as pleasant and laid back as Australia. That would be great. I think the problem with Britain is the weather. We had an issue with the rain a lot of the time, and also the fact that it's so changeable over there. Nick and I are writing a film that we're going to shoot in the States this year, I think, and I'm doing a film in New York after I finish the Hot Fuzz press. But I think in terms of myself and Edgar's stuff, when we write together, as we've done with Shaun and Hot Fuzz, it's very much about the UK. We're trying to keep films coming from there. We were lucky enough to see Peter Jackson set up when we were in New Zealand and go around the Weta complex, and it's so wonderful to see that he's got a setup down there which is just easily, if not better than a lot of stuff in Hollywood, in terms of his post-production facilities, his team down there. It's a wonderful community, all dedicated to making films, and I'd like to have that at home as well, if we could possibly swing it. Okay. I said Edgar's got to get a big franchise, make lots of money, and then we can build our little empire.
Okay, well, speaking about big-time producers like Peter Jackson, George Lucas. Do you know if you've seen the second series of Spaced at all? I'm obviously talking about the Phantom Menace references here.
I don't know if he's seen it. I know a lot of people at Lucasfilm have seen it. When the Star Wars prequels, not the prequels, the original films were released on DVD again without any of the added stuff, when it was the kind of, you know, the virgin versions, I received a little parcel in the post, and I opened it up, and there was an embossed Lucasfilm envelope, and I opened it up and it said, "We thought you might like these," and it was the original 3 films.
Oh, that's nice.
So
you don't hide from George Lucas?
No, I've met him. I mean, you know, when I met him at the Revenge of the Sith premiere in London, which I went to, you know, despite my sort of reservations about the other prequels, I'd never been to a Star Wars premiere, and I met him, and we had a little chat, and he said, you know, don't be making the same film you made 30 years ago, 30 years later. And I thought that was an interesting thing for him to say. But yeah, I know the Lucasfilm people kind of appreciate Spaced. I don't think they're allowed to complain.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
they get their descent through Spaced.
Obviously, Australia tends not to get the big movie releases prior to the States, but it is in this instance. Why is that?
I don't know, to be honest. I think we're staggering the release so we can promote it properly. And we were originally slated for a release, I think, in March in the States, but I think with the 300 coming out and a lot of films that were of a similar fan base, and of course, you know, the 300 is a mighty thing, as it's proven. It's had a huge opening. We kind of wanted to maybe move away from that and have a, you know, a less...
Not want to clash swords.
Yeah, exactly, with the 300, which I saw the other night.
It was an appalling metaphor.
No, it's completely right. I think it would have cut our heads off. But it's meant that we can come, you know, and come to Australia and then go on to the States afterwards, and it's all worked out really nicely. So I'm glad it's coming out here.
Okay, well, that just about wraps it up.
Thank you.
One question before we go, though. Should we stop asking about Space Series 3?
Yes.
Really bug you?
No, it doesn't bug me at all. In certain respects, it makes me a little bit sad in a way, just because, you know, it would have been nice to do a third series of Spaced, but time and circumstance sort of conspired against that. And I don't think anybody would really want to see Tim and Daisy now in their 30s, you know, slightly sort of
still in the same
less hair, and, you know, I don't think, I mean, certainly Tim wouldn't be living the way he lived then, you know. I mean, I was 20, I think 20, that's about, it's nearly 10 years ago, you know. And of course they would have got together, and it would have been wonderful, and you would have seen probably one of the most fiery screen kisses in the history of television. But alas, it's not to be.
One of those marvellous moments that will never be. Simon Pegg, thank you
My
very
pleasure.
much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Shoot. No chafing whatsoever. That happens a lot. I told J.J. Abrams that I'd done it. He likes eyeliner. You know what I mean?